Just in case you didn't already know, the Tesla Gigafactory in Austin, Texas is a game changer. As of right now, this factory is just weeks away from beginning its first production run of the Tesla Model Y vehicle and launching the most technologically advanced vehicle manufacturing plant in the United States. You could even argue the best in the world, and the speed at which we've gotten here has been staggering. Just over 400 days into construction, we have the essence of a building that stretches over 1 kilometer in length and covers about 90 acres of land. And the Model Y/Model 3 factory is just stage 1. This will be followed by a Cybertruck factory, a semi-truck factory, and a battery cell production line, and that's just building number 1. Tesla owns over 2,000 acres of land around this construction site, with plans to do so much more in the future. So in today's video, we are talking about how we got here, what is happening right now at Giga Texas, and where we are going in the future. Okay, let's back up for a second and talk about how Tesla ended up building this enormous monolith on the banks of the Colorado River. The Gigafactory itself was born out of frustration that Tesla faced with their very first manufacturing facility in Fremont, California. They didn't build this factory themselves, as this was the early days when the Tesla Model S was just a concept and Elon Musk was in search of a place to manufacture it. Tesla settled on an old General Motors plant that had been opened in 1962. In 1984, the plant was refurbished to operate under the new United Motor Manufacturing Inc. banner, which was a partnership between GM and Toyota. Those two companies pulled the plug on the factory in 2010, and Tesla stepped in a few months later to take the building off their hands for just $42 million. At the time they moved in, Tesla needed only about 1/10 of the factory space to build their Model S sedan, with just 1,000 employees and a collection of used equipment and spare parts that they also bought on the cheap. Now, obviously, we all know that Tesla grew significantly from those early days, and not only did they eventually take over the entire production floor of the old factory, they actually managed to exceed the capacity of what the old plant could handle. By the time the Model 3 came around, Tesla was having to set up a giant tent to build cars in. To be fair, it's more like a building with a canvas roof than an actual tent, but it's still not ideal. For the ramp up on the Model Y production in 2021, Tesla built yet another tent-based production line at Fremont. So it's probably safe to say that the combining factors of a 60-year-old building, the mishmash collection of old and new equipment, and the tent-based production line have added up to Tesla's build quality gaining the reputation of being just a little less than ideal. I will say it's also pretty clear that Teslas are scrutinized much more heavily than other brands. Never in my life have I seen anyone measure panel gaps on any car other than a Tesla, but there are undeniable shortcomings in the overall fit and finish of the build. Then in 2014, Tesla started construction on their very own manufacturing plant. This second facility in Reno, Nevada was imagined as a battery factory that could produce more lithium-ion batteries in one place than the rest of the world's production combined. At the time, the company still hadn't run out of space for building cars, but they had run out of batteries. The amount of battery cells needed to meet the demand for the Tesla Model S and Model X was exceeding the capacity that Panasonic had to produce them. So Tesla wanted to build one gigantic factory where both companies could work together on making batteries for all of Tesla's electric cars and energy storage products like the Powerwall. Once completed, it would become the largest building by footprint in the entire world. And that plan didn't exactly work out. I mean, there is a battery factory in Nevada that produces all of the battery packs for American-made Tesla vehicles and builds Powerwalls and Megapacks. That part worked. But even 7 years after breaking ground, the facility is a pretty far cry from the epic-scale battery production hub that was imagined. I think they only ever built about 30% of what the initial plan called for. Instead of a gleaming diamond in the Nevada desert, it's kind of like a big Tetris block with some solar panels on the end. And that's okay. Without facing adversity, we can't appreciate victory. Around the same time that Tesla was erecting the Model 3 and the battery plant was floundering, Elon Musk hit some kind of an epiphany that there has to be a better way to do this. In his mind, Elon imagined a kind of massive alien Dreadnought production facility, like an inhuman machine that builds other machines in a fully autonomous process. So if all humans just suddenly died, the Dreadnought factory would just keep on spitting out cars without us until it ran out of materials to make them with. Elon has said that we can think of Giga Nevada as a version 0.5 of the alien Dreadnought idea, but we're starting to approach version 1.0. The Gigafactory in Shanghai, China that Tesla started building in 2019 and launched in 2020 is pretty close to the alien Dreadnought. It's a highly automated factory that has been able to ramp up production on the Tesla Model 3 and Model Y exceptionally fast. The annual production capacity at Giga Shanghai has already hit 450,000 vehicles per year and should reach 500,000 capacity by the end of this year, which would be equal to the entire company-wide production capacity just 1 year ago in 2020. But important things like battery production are still missing from Giga Shanghai. They are relying on CATL to make their batteries and deliver them to the Gigafactory. So it's very good, but it's not self-sufficient. And that brings us back to the Gigafactory in Texas. This is the version 1 of the alien Dreadnought idea, along with Giga Berlin as well, but we've already done a whole video on that factory that you can check out after. The speed at which this building has come together is pretty staggering. And thanks to some very dedicated dudes with drones in the Austin area, we have complete documentation of the entire process. On day 411 of construction, we can see that the building has pretty much taken its final shape. The design for the first Giga Texas facility is actually much more complex than it looks from renderings or aerial photos, because this isn't just one huge factory. It's 3 separate buildings linked together. Under the single roof of solar panel tiles, there are 2 main facilities that cover the long edges of the diamond shape, and there is one long skinny building in between them. The spaces in between will actually be covered roads that allow semi-trucks to drive into the factory and deliver materials to any point on any production line. We've seen from the Berlin site that the Gigafactory will have loading bays all over the outer walls, but I'm pretty sure Texas will be the first one to accommodate internal deliveries as well. This is all working towards Tesla's goal of maximum efficiency. It's no longer good enough to have raw materials go in one end and cars come out the other. Tesla's Senior Vice President of Powertrain and Energy Engineering, Drew Baglino, once explained it by saying, "I think part of the alien Dreadnought concept is not just automation, but minimizing the number of process steps and complexity involved in the manufacturing system, which involves really integrating design and manufacturing across something like when the raw materials enter the factory to the finished goods exit. And we're learning so much through doing that." And Elon Musk has talked in the past about the sheer amount of thought and care that the company is putting into these new factories. In the past, people would just make a big empty space and then fill it with stuff. But Tesla is starting on day 1 with a very clear vision of how things have to move inside the factory for a flawless execution. About a year ago, Elon was quoted as saying, "We're bringing a massive amount of effort into manufacturing and engineering the machine that makes the machine. There's probably 1,000%, maybe 10,000% more engineering required for the factory than for the product itself. So we're certainly making progress." Battery and powertrain factory. The cool thing about Tesla is that they are able to be self-aware and acknowledge things like the fact that in the past, even in the present, they haven't been all that great at making cars. But they're working on improving, and they're doing that in a unique way that takes them closer to the alien Dreadnought philosophy. Instead of kneecapping their electric vehicle designs to make them fit better with the old way of building cars, Tesla is changing the way cars are designed to make them more manufacturable in an entirely new way that has essentially been invented by Tesla for the Gigafactory. So, while the Model Y produced at Giga Texas might look the same as a Model Y built at Fremont, the architecture of the vehicle will be completely different, in a way that is fundamentally more efficient than any vehicle that has been built to date by Tesla or anyone else. At the core of this new design philosophy is the GigaPress casting machine. We've also done a whole video going in depth into these things as well. You can check that out later for more info. But in simple terms, the GigaPress is a way to make the core structural section of the vehicle from one solid piece instead of many pieces attached together. The GigaPress isn't unique to the Gigafactory. Tesla has already incorporated them into the Fremont production line to create rear frame sections for the Model Y. But like every new thing at Fremont, the GigaPress is set up outside of the building under a makeshift roof. It's clearly not integrated into the manufacturing process. They have to pile up the casted sections in the parking lot and then lug them back inside. That is not an alien Dreadnought. That's janky as hell. At Giga Texas, the GigaPress machines will be given their own section of the factory that is purpose-built for that particular job. And that gives them the ability to not just make the rear quarter from a casted piece, but to also make the front section of the vehicle casted as well. Then eventually integrate a structural battery pack that will make for a 3-piece frame. That's the real beauty of Tesla being able to build something like Giga Texas. They have already used Fremont as a kind of testing ground to figure out what works and what doesn't. Then all of the good ideas can be designed from the ground up to work together in harmony. This will spell the end for all of those old gripes with misalignments and fit issues and panel gaps. Building one of Giga Texas, or the side furthest from the highway, will reportedly contain the casting machine area and the stamping machine area at the corners, and in between the two will be the body in white area, which is where the frame of the vehicle will be joined together. The middle building should have a paint shop at one end, across the road from the casting machines, and a general assembly area in the middle. Building 3, closest to the highway, will have a battery cell production area in one corner alongside the paint shop, a general assembly area in the middle, and the quality control and final assembly space in the fourth corner. Each building will be the equivalent of about 7 stories tall, but with just 4 levels of floor space and double high ceilings. As for what comes next for Giga Texas after the first building is finished and operational, there is still a lot of work to be done. We know at the very least that Elon is planning for another facility across the highway that will be utilized by both Tesla and SpaceX for something and could end up being even larger than the first building. And we're also relatively sure that a battery cathode production facility will be going up on the other side of the parking lot from building 1. We also know that Elon plans to have a nature preserve along the banks of the Colorado River, of all things. He once said, "We're actually going to have a boardwalk where there will be hiking and biking trails." It's going to basically be an ecological paradise. Birds in the trees, butterflies, fish in the stream, and it'll be open to the public as well, so not closed and Tesla only. We're pretty sure that Tesla has plans to build a new test track on this property as well, similar to the one they have at Fremont. In fact, it's more than likely that over time, Tesla will build up new versions of all their Fremont infrastructure on the Giga Texas site. I'd bet money that the company will relocate their headquarters to Austin sometime within the next 5 years. Ditching California for Texas is the cool thing to do right now. Elon himself has already sold all of his California properties and become a full-time Texan, so it's hard to imagine that Tesla's operational headquarters won't be following him there. But what do you guys think? If Giga Texas is starting first production at the end of this year, then how long until we see this alien Dreadnought running at full capacity? And how long after that until it can upgrade from Gigafactory to Terafactory? Drop your theories in the comment section below. By the way, for a weekly dose of Tesla news delivered straight to your inbox, make sure to subscribe to our Tesla Space newsletter. We keep you up to date on all things Elon Musk, Tesla, SpaceX, Neuralink, and Boring Company in one quick and fun to read package. Link in the description to sign up. It's theteslaspace.com. And make sure to drag our emails over into your primary inbox so we don't get lost in the promotions tab. If you want to continue to learn about everything regarding Tesla, SpaceX, and Elon Musk, we've got 2 more video options for you on the screen to check out. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up today if you liked it, and subscribe to our channel for weekly content just like this.